Yerp, it's Perp, and finally, we're at the penultimate episode. This is how you do the second to fucking last episode. Power, I'm looking at you. But anyways, before I get into this review, hit this like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new, and follow me on Twitter at PerpMinded. Man, a lot of questions just got answered in this episode. The next episode is the finale, season finale. Man, what a fucking show. But with all that being said and out the way, let's get right into this, because this is a crazy episode. This was definitely one of my favorite episodes personally. So this centers around Ellie, and they show within the first 10 minutes of the this episode exactly where Ellie was at all these times, what happened with Joe, what happened to the dude that we see at the beginning of this season, Mark, and why he did what he did. And man, it's crazy that all this happened within like months of each other. That's a whole nother story, but you know, now she's pretty much under Lucas's thumb. You know, she has to do what he says or he's going to hurt Rufus. Meanwhile, Bodhi is tired of getting cut out of certain things and being treated like a kid. He is a kid, but you know, he has a point in this where he says, you guys would not know about none of this if it wasn't for me. So they show him the memory, and you know, they try to come up with a plan to try to, you know, counter all this. So Bodhi ends up going to visit Rufus, and Rufus shows him this crown, and that leads to another thing. And I really like the relationship between Rufus and Bodhi. You know, I think they really make a good tag team. So catching up with Eden, she gets a visit from Kenzie's fear and gets freaked out. We'll get back to that very shortly in this episode. I'll talk about that. But Kenzie ends up catching Ellie trying to dip out and tries to confront her about everything. And, you know, Ellie doesn't really want anything to do with this, and she was just protecting her kid. And we get another scene of Nina, you know, throwing away the bottle of alcohol, and good for her. You know, I was really looking forward to that, and I didn't want to see her in that state. It's not a good look. Then we get, now Tyler and Kenzie are talking, and Tyler's like, yo, we gotta tell our friends, this is an Avenger level threat. We need all the help that we can get. Same thing with Rufus. He says, yo, we need to help them. We need to get involved, even though if that means costing our lives, doesn't matter. We have to stop this. And they decide to tell everybody that doesn't know already, like Jackie, Jacob. You know, they're Jacob's a little bit, you know, he just needs to see proof. Jackie's kind of freaked out by it. Eden is pretty much whatever about it. Scott and Gabe already kind of know about this. But what was funny about this is Kenzie's little love triangle. She didn't want to choose. She wants to date both of them, which is really funny. I wonder if they're going to go through with it. That would be really weird and interesting. Me, I'm not sharing my girl with nobody. Fuck that. Fuck out of here. But speaking of relationships and, you know, certain things that could be teased, you got Daniel talking to Nina, and you know, maybe they might become a thing in the future. Maybe they'll get involved with everything that's going on with the keys. Who knows? We're just got to wait and see. But now we get into the real juicy stuff, where Ellie sits everybody down and says, hey, I will explain to you what is going on and how this all started, you know, going all the way back to the basement. And this is all pretty much her fault, essentially, but I'll explain. You know, they went down to the caves, and she was explaining that whatever happened down in those caves jumped into Lucas, and it was some type of demon or something like that, and that's why, you know, their dad had to do what he had to do to, and the way that they had to make up this cover story was so dark, man. But there were kids at the time, so nobody would have believed their story that one of their friends just went crazy. So they came up with this crazy ass story to protect everybody with the crew, and they made a pact never to use these keys. Everybody got a certain set of keys. Bodhi actually finds the key for the crown that could control shadows and whatnot, and we get the backstory on why Lucas is back and why he can't die, because he's an echo, which means he's kind of a demon too, so you can't really get rid of him, but you could trap an echo. And like I said, this is all her fault, and she feels guilty about this, and we still don't know what that Omega key does, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see what it does by the end of this season. Now they figure out a plan to try to use the shadow, the shadow key, whatever, to pretty much trap Lucas back into the well, because that's the only way to kind of get rid of him. And by the time Ellie gets back home, it's kind of too late. You have Rufus trying to stick up for his mom and attack Lucas, but ends up failing, and it's too late. He has the crown, and he has the key for that crown, so now he controls all the shadows, and that's a very OP key. So, man, things are getting really fucking crazy now. I'm just curious to see how y'all feel about this episode. I thought this was a dope setup for the finale, but until my next review, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.